Dr. Paris, just to let you know, we do have the ALJ back through a telephone connection. So whenever you're willing to resume, then we can check in with the court reporter and the judge.
Okay, great. Thank you. I see we're at 10:55, so let me just see, make sure all the board members are back. Um, do we have everybody in El Dorado? I see the camera off and thumbs up there. Hi. Okay, great. And I think we're just waiting on Dr. Adams. We'll give him a second here. Okay, there we are. I see all the board members present. We can go ahead and check on everyone else. Thank you. Anne, are you going to check on everyone else for us?
I believe the judge is waiting for you to reconvene, and then she's going to check in with the court reporter to read the material
Gotcha.
she missed.
Okay, let's bring this meeting back to order. Time is 10:56. Thank you for the much needed break, and we'll reconvene. I'll turn this over to Judge Larson.
And I apologize for having some WebEx difficulties, but I'm here by telephone and we are back on the record. And if I could just have, please, the last testimony I heard was the last time that Mr. Weathersby saw his therapist was in January or February of this year. If you could just provide me his testimony from that portion.
Certainly. So the question after that is, wait, I put stars. And you're still working as a fitness trainer? Answer, yes, I am. Question, okay, good. And then I just have one last question. Dash is actually to, in the letter, it says you have identified in the letter from Ms. Smith, your therapist, it notes that you identified your colleagues with whom you feel comfortable with whom to seek out professional consultation. And have you sought out professional consultation? And if yes, I'm wondering what were those issues? Answer, as far as I believe, she's referring to colleagues being chiropractic colleagues. Yes, it's not stated, but I would assume so, yes. Answer, yes, I actually have two really good friends. They both wrote letters for me that are in that packet, Dr. Phil Yamamoto and Dr. Steve Landis. Question, okay, so those are the colleagues that wrote the letters. Answer, yes. And this is still the answer. And I mean, this is the question. And my second part of that question was, have you leaned on them for any professional consultations? More specifically, really, I kind of want to get an understanding what the outreach was and what the issues were that you utilized them for. Answer, yes, actually, Phil Yamamoto does practice education dashes continuing education seminars. He has quite an extensive bit of knowledge about issues and reasons why chiropractors get in trouble. So we've watched many of the board meetings, listened to the board meetings together, reviewed dashes, kind of discussed situations. Dr. Steve Landis, he was in my class and we've been close for many, many years, and he has recently dashes. I revisited with him, especially because he was the one that had treated me for my back injury. And so we've been spending more time together discussing my situation. If I were to be back in practice with my license, what would I be doing? How would I be conducting myself? It's a really good source and a really good way, a chance to get back in communication with practicing chiropractors. Question, understood, thank you. My last question is, if your license is reinstated, I think you may have mentioned this, but I want to confirm you would accept any standard, any optional terms of probation deemed necessary by the board. Answer, absolutely, great. I have no further questions.
All right, thank you so much. And Mr. Weathersby, I want to remind you that even though we took a break, you are still under oath. Do you understand?
Understood.
All right, I'm going to now ask Dr. Adams if Dr. Adams has any questions for Mr. Weathersby.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Weathersby, for being here and for the statement and testimony you've given thus far. I have a couple of concerns about the situation with the the high school situation,
Mhm.
and that you represented yourself as a retired chiropractor.
That's correct.
Does that, in retrospect, as you reflect on that, do you have any concerns about having done that?
I don't. I believe that I did a good job and was presenting to the students what it takes to become a chiropractor, how to get into the field. I came from a place of, trying to give back to my community with my education, with the years that it took me to become a chiropractor, to get my undergraduate degree and kind of show them those steps. I don't feel that it was anything that I was presenting myself, as a licensed chiropractor, but actually just giving them a kind of a roadmap on how to become a chiropractor. So I didn't think that that was a violation or any kind of situation that would be frowned upon by anyone, including the board.
I just want you to, do you understand, though, that you misrepresented yourself to that group of individuals?
If the board feels that I did misrepresent, I do apologize. I was coming from a place that, again, I'm trying to help my community, educate my community. I didn't think that I was misrepresenting, but if the board feels that I was misrepresenting, I do apologize and do ask for forgiveness. Again, I was coming from a place of trying to give back and to help and educate young kids that, these days need direction. A lot of people frown upon education, and kids these days are thinking of not going to college or not pursuing a professional career because they have other avenues that they think is quick and easy and can potentially be fruitful. But I hold in high regard education, and I hold in high regard the chiropractic profession. And honestly, I didn't think this was a situation of misrepresentation. But again, if the board does conclude that, I do apologize.
You stated earlier in your testimony that you had a proclivity towards kind of self-aggrandizing behavior. You wanted to make the money and those types, big house, all the other things. And that led you to make some decisions that ended up resulting in your license being revoked. So my question is, in light of that and kind of what happened with the high school, what safeguards are you putting in place that are going to prevent you from being in a position where could potentially fall down a slippery slope relative to your license and towards your career and ethical behavior should you receive your license to practice again?
Well, that's a very good question. And I have already taken the action to work in a way now as a personal fitness trainer. Again, being very slow and steady and let things happen organically in my business. I don't need to shortcut any longer. If I do a good job with my clients, they will refer others and things will financially take care of itself. I don't need to rush to do anything that's going to jeopardize my ethics, my morals, my values, my relationships with my clients. And I plan on doing the same with my patients if given the opportunity to practice again. Now I have a strong support group, including my therapist, my chiropractic colleagues, I do understand that in these situations, if I do need to reach out to the board, if there is questionable, unclear situations and how to practice, what I can do, what I can't do, I will reach out to the board and the board's resources.
Okay, thank you. You stated earlier in your prepared statement, and also with questioning with the representative of the department. I apologize, Miss. Is it Helm? Sorry, I don't want to miss.
Ms. Heim, Deputy Attorney General Heim. Yeah.
Attorney General Heim. Okay, Deputy Attorney General Heim. Thank you. When you spoke with her, she asked you, and I just want to kind of follow up on. You mentioned that you hope to avoid the gray areas in the future. Can you expand on that? That you hope to avoid the gray areas in the future?
Well, I probably should be more clear. I plan on avoiding the gray areas. Things come up in practice. I can't foresee situations in the future, but now I know if there is a situation that is unclear to me or considered a gray area, such as the emotional support animal letters and being able to provide those to patients, that if it is unclear, I go to the board, I ask for a clarification. I have an attorney that represents me. I can bounce questions off of him as well. Colleagues, again, within the chiropractic profession that I know, I have them as a resource also.
So would you say that your resolve is not a hope, it's more of a firm resolve?
Oh, very firm.
You said the last time that you've adjusted anybody was 2018, is that correct?
I believe so.
And then real quick, when you stopped your therapy, was it that your therapist told you that you could go on a PRN basis, or was that your decision?
That was my therapist's decision.
So your therapist said you don't need to come back anymore unless something happens or you have a trigger or an issue that comes up?
Exactly.
So they didn't request any follow-up at any time? Only if you're having a crisis or an issue?
Correct. And the plan moving forward is if I do receive my license and begin to start practicing again, we will then reinitiate those therapy sessions. She felt like for me, and just to be able to discuss, again, being in practice, to be able to discuss my situation with patients, managing my practice itself, wherever it would be at that time, would be a good opportunity. Again, she wanted to revisit also with the board meeting that I'm having with you today. And if I am so lucky enough to get my license back, she felt that it was a good time for me to go ahead, unless, like you said earlier, like I explained earlier, there was a trigger, there was a situation that evolved before then.
You stated that you haven't practiced in nearly 6 years. How are you keeping your skills sharp?
Well, I believe that my skills are still, I'm physically fit. I'm been practicing over 20 years, so it's something that you just don't lose.
So no practicing on family or friends?
No.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Cruz, any questions for Mr. Weathersby? Yes. No question.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yes, there is, sorry. Are your training clients aware of kind of the status and what happened of your chiropractic license?
Some are and some aren't.
How you described yourself within kind of a document submitted that you would rush through an appointment. Actually, earlier today you mentioned that you would rush through an appointment to get on to the next patient. That's kind of something you found yourself doing before. How has your care experience changed kind of since then? What do you find that is different now and why?
Well, I understand now that that motivation that I had for money to see as many patients as I could see in the period of time that I had them before me was inappropriate, wrong. It was shortchanging my patients. I wasn't doing a thorough enough job with them to evaluate them, discuss the situation within a consultation with the patient, the treatment I provided, the evaluation and examination, just wasn't comprehensive enough and detailed enough. So in retrospect, you know, I have worked on being able to slow down, take my time, and I'm using my current training clients that I'm talking about in preparation for that. Again, looking back and going through this with my therapist, you know, these things will happen organically and naturally if I do a good job and a thorough job and be the best physical fitness trainer or chiropractor if given that chance.
No other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Dr. Daniels, any questions for Mr. Weathersby?
No questions. Thank you.
All right, and Dr. Sandino, any questions?
Just want, thanks. First, I wanted to, thank you for your transparency and all the information that you gave and your deep dive. That was very informative. I feel your heart and intentions may have been in the right place. However, through the past experience of being on probation and having to check into the board for petitions and revoking of your past license, did you ever think of reaching out to the board about the false status representation when you did the high school presentation? I know this was brought up before. It is a concern in a way of just false representation, mainly because there is different statuses of licenses. And so it just made me think you weren't aware of the different role of, a retired chiropractor as an active chiropractor or one with a revoked license or on probation. So it just is a concern. You're very confident in certain things, and I love that. But when you said you will go to the board when you're in doubt, when are you in doubt? Then when do we go to the board?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't have any doubt with, and when being asked to present at the career day at the high school. And now I believe it could be an issue with the board from what I'm hearing. And again, I do apologize. I was trying to give back to my community. I was honestly trying to just help kids and being a role model, showing them that it is possible for somebody from our community to become a doctor, to have a career. And I was coming from a more positive place. I really didn't. And again, thinking that I represented myself as a retired chiropractor, no longer practicing, which I'm not. I just honestly didn't think that it was an issue. And again, I do apologize to the board if they felt like it is. I wanted to be, again, transparent with everything that I've done since my license revocation. And again, I was just trying to make positive steps towards showing my rehabilitation, showing that I do have something still to give to the community as a chiropractor, again, I felt like it wasn't representing myself as a licensed chiropractor, but again, as a retired chiropractor that had some insight and education for the kids.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. And Mr. Sweet, any questions?
Yeah, just one quick question. You mentioned several times in your testimony earlier, and it's mentioned in your packet a couple of different times that you thought you were operating in an unclear or in a gray area. Is it your understanding that the conduct that led to your revocation or the surrender of your license was when you're operating in a gray area?
Well, the more the gray area pertain to the providing the ESA letters for the patients, and I wasn't sure at the time. And again, I was going off of the confirmation from my superior that I was able to do these letters. So again, I justified it with, again, being a CME, that I was, okay to do that. So as far as the conduct, no, that was clear that I was not performing these evaluations properly. I was not putting enough time into them. My documentation was poor. And so therefore, in those areas, I was clear that my conduct wasn't up to par.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to ask our board members one more time if there's any additional questions. No? And then Ms. Hine, any follow-up?
I just have one follow-up.
If you could just identify yourself.
This is Dr. Lawrence Adams. All
right, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to circle back and just remind Mr. Weatherby that you are still under oath.
Yes.
Are you emphatic that since 2018 you have not adjusted anybody? That's your testimony, that you have not adjusted anybody while unlicensed as a chiropractor?
That is correct.
All right, thank you.
All right, Ms. Hine, any follow-up questions?
No, thank you.
All right, and Mr. Weathersby, as I mentioned, to give you one more opportunity. Anything in addition you would like to add?
Well, I would like to again thank the board. If given the opportunity, I do plan on, and if given the opportunity again to receive my chiropractic license, I do plan to abide by all rules and regulations and laws. And I want the board to know that I will do my very best to uphold the standard of chiropractic as a profession in the state. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Hine, any closing remarks?
No, thank you.
All right, is the matter submitted, Ms. Hine?
Submitted.
Matter submitted with Mr. Weathersby. Matter submitted for the board's consideration. Mr. Weathersby.
Yes.
Okay, matter is submitted and the record is closed. We are off the record.
Thank you.
All right, I just need to get some information from the court reporter. I need a page count and an end time.
End time 11:19, page count 50.
All right, and Judge Wong is now going to be taking over and he will be presiding over the next 3 petitions. Judge Wong.
Thank you, Judge Larson. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
And are you, I actually can't see myself, but can you all see me?
Yes.
One moment while I push you up to the main view.
Oh, okay, very good.
And there you are.
Oh, there I am. Thank you. Okay, so next we'll proceed with the, oh, I guess you should check, Dr. Paris, is it okay to proceed to the next one, or does anyone
Yeah.
need a break?
No, we took one just a few
Right.
minutes ago while we got Judge Larson back on.
Okay, so we will go ahead and proceed. So the next one we'll proceed with is the petition for reinstatement of Mark Anthony Stollier.
Correct. And Mr. Stollier, would you like to check your microphone?
Yeah, I actually wanted to see, I'm using this wire actually, so I wanted to take it off and see if you could still hear me okay. Do I sound loud enough, clear enough?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay.
All right. Great. Madam Court Reporter, whenever you're ready, if you would just let me know.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Let's go ahead and go on the record. So we are on the record before the Board of Chiropractic Examiners, Department of Consumer Affairs, State of California, in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of Mark Anthony Stollier. It's agency case number 2010-812, OAH number 2024-050-045. My name's Corin Wong. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings, and I've been assigned to preside over this matter with the board. In order to establish a quorum of the board for the record, I ask that each board member please respond audibly after I call his or her name. Dr. Paris?
Present.
Dr. Adams? Oops, Dr. Adams, you're currently muted.
Present.
Thank you. Ms. Cruz?
Present.
Dr. Daniels?
Present.
Dr. Sandino?
Present.
And Mr. Sweet?
Yes, present.
All right. Let the record reflect that there is a quorum of the board present. Next, if I may take the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General.
Thank you. Good morning. Patricia Weber-Heim, Deputy Attorney General, appearing on behalf of the Attorney General's office, pursuant to Government Code Section 11522, representing the people of the state of California. I am here to assist in fact-finding, and my role is not adversarial. It is merely intended to protect the public interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. And sir, are you Mark Anthony Stollier?
I am, sir.
And Mr. Stollier, are you representing yourself today?
No, I have my attorney.
Okay, and who is your attorney?
My attorney is Lucy McAllister.
Okay, and is she with you?
She is on the
I'm
call.
present on the screen.
This is the moderator. We are having issues adding more than 8 photos to the screen. Would you like me to pull anyone specific off the screen to make room for the attorney?
No. I guess what I would say is, if it's okay with the board members, I think it's probably more important to see Ms. McAllister rather than me, since I'm not a fact finder. I certainly still will be listening and paying attention, but you just won't, I guess, be able to see me on the screen. Is that okay, Dr. Paris and the other members?
I think that's okay with me.
Very good. All right, and Ms. McAllister, we can see you, and can you hear me okay?
I can, Your Honor. Thank you. We will be calling a witness, my client's therapist, Mr. Murmis. So there might be a 8-screen person problem in the future.
Okay. Okay, we'll have to deal with that when that comes up. Ms. McAllister, are you familiar? And I guess did you hear Judge Larson describe the procedural aspect of the hearing earlier? And or are you familiar?
I am.
Okay, do you have any questions?
I do not.
All right, very good. And of course, if you do, please do not hesitate to ask. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I don't want to bore you with something you already know. All right, so Ms. Hine, if you would like to start with your petition packet and or your summary, whichever you'd like to do first.
Thank you. I will, at this time, mark for identification and offer into evidence Exhibit 1, which is the petition packet with the accompanying documents. Mr. Stolier, the board members, and you, the administrative law judge, have been provided with a copy of the same set of this exhibit, which generally consists of the following. The petition for reinstatement of revoked license, signed under penalty of perjury on November 22nd, 2023. An attachment to the petition for reinstatement entitled the Rehabilitation and Mitigation Evidence, including petitioner's typewritten statement and the following exhibits. A is the certified copy of the electronic docket for the criminal matter entitled People v. Mark A. Stoliar, Los Angeles County Superior Court, case number BA 363494. B is the payment of $4,962.50 to the board for the cost of investigation and enforcement of this matter. Exhibit C is approximately 17 certificates of completion for continuing education related to billing practices and ethics. D is a counseling evaluation report. E is approximately 6 certificates of completion of mental health education. F is petitioner's resume detailing his work experience, awards, and mental health certificates. G is a certificate of completion for the Pilates teacher training program. H is a certificate of recognition from Council Member Bob Blumfeld, spelled B-L-U-M-F-I-E-L-D. I is a letter of support from Supervisor Gabrielle Torres, last name spelled T-O-R-R-E-S. J is a certificate of appreciation dated June 23rd, 2023. K is a letter of support from Sarah, S-A-R-A, K, K-A-Y-E, dated September 8th, 2023. L is a letter of support from Stacy, spelled S-T-A-C-Y, L, Becker, B-E-C-K-E-R, dated November 1st, 2023. M is a letter of support from Jorge, J-O-R-G-E-A, Gomez, G-O-M-E-Z, dated November 6th, 2023. N is a letter of support from Cynthia, C-I-N-T-I-A, Figueroa, F-I-G-U-E-R-O-A. O is approximately 35 certificates of completion from 2020 through 2023 regarding chiropractic procedures and techniques. P includes approximately 25 certificates of completion from 2021 through 2023 regarding healthcare. And also included in the packet are the Board of Chiropractic Examiners' decision and order denying petitioner's petition for reinstatement in case number 2010-812, which was effective on September 21st, 2022. The board's decision and order adopting petitioner's stipulated surrender of license and disciplinary order, which was effective May 13th, 2013. And the accusation in board case number 2010-812. Mr. Stolier was also provided with a letter giving notice of hearing and proof of service, which was dated April 23rd, 2024. He also submitted supplemental materials, which were received by the board on May 22nd, 2024, and include a supplemental counseling evaluation report, which was dated May 20th of 2024. At this time, I would offer this packet into evidence as Exhibit 1.
All right, those documents will be marked collectively as Exhibit 1 for identification. Ms. McAllister, any objection to 1 for all being admitted for all purposes? Oops, you're currently muted.
Sorry, no objection, Your Honor. I do have a question regarding a supplemental that was submitted.
And actually, before you do that, I should correct myself. I forgot about that. What we'll do is we'll mark the petition packet as Exhibit 1, and then the supplemental documents as Exhibit 2. So just to clarify, Ms. McAllister, any objection to 1 and/or 2?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, both will be admitted for all purposes. And Ms. McAllister, you mentioned you had a question about, I think, Exhibit 2.
The supplemental report provided by Mr. Jerry Murmis.
Okay. And what's the question?
Perhaps it was me not hearing, but I did not hear that that was included when mentioned by the Attorney General.
Okay. Ms. Weber, was that? And I think that's the supplemental document I am seeing.
That is correct.
So Ms. McAllister, what I show it as is, yes, the May 20th, 2024 report by Mr. Murmis. That consists of, looks like 4 pages. Is that what you're talking about?
It is, thank you.
Okay, very good. So that's in as Exhibit 2.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
Of course. Ms. Heim, if you'd like to continue.
Thank you. I will now provide a brief background of Mr. Stolyar's license history. On May 7th, 1999, the board issued chiropractic license number DC 26249 to Mr. Stolyar. This license was revoked pursuant to a stipulated surrender of license effective May 11th, 2013. On January 17th, 2012, the board filed accusation number 2010-812 against Mr. Stolyar. The accusation alleged 8 causes of action for conviction of a substantially related crime, conviction of a crime involving moral turpitude, dishonesty, or corruption, committing acts involving moral turpitude, dishonesty, or corruption, participation in fraudulent acts, unlawful use of cappers, unlawful rebates for patient referrals, false documents relating to the practice of chiropractic, and unprofessional conduct in the matter of insurance fraud. This accusation arose from Mr. Stolyar's involvement in a large fraud ring that organized staged vehicle accidents to defraud insurance companies. As part of this scheme, Mr. Stolyar would meet with phony claimants for 1 or 2 chiropractic sessions and provide minimal treatment. He would then bill and seek reimbursement from insurance companies for numerous treatment sessions and services that were never performed or never rendered. On April 11th, 2013, the board adopted Mr. Stolyar's stipulated surrender of license and issued a decision and order revoking his chiropractic license. The decision became effective on May 11th, 2013. In the stipulated surrender on page 4, paragraph 6, Mr. Stolyar agreed that if he should ever petition for reinstatement of a license, then all of the charges and allegations in accusation number 2010-812 shall be admitted true, correct, and admitted by Mr. Stolyar. On August 22nd, 2022, the board's decision and order denying petitioner's previous petition for reinstatement was issued. This decision became effective on September 21st, 2022. Pursuant to California Code of Regulations, Title 16, Section 365, Mr. Stolyar has provided evidence of sufficient continuing education to fulfill the continuing education requirements for each year his license was surrendered through the date of his petition for reinstatement of his license. And now, because the burden is on Mr. Stoliar, I will have no further statement, but I do reserve the right to question Mr. Stoliar after his statement. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Ms. Heim. Ms. McAllister, did you wish to provide a summary opening statement before introducing testimony?
Just briefly, Your Honor.
Whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Mark Stoliar, and we are presenting evidence which today focuses on his rehabilitation and the insights that he has gained in order to reassure the board that he not only will not be a danger to the public, but will be an asset to the public in the event that his chiropractic license is reissued. I would like to also just briefly point out that at bait stamp 04 in the petition, there was a felony criminal conviction, which in July of 2012 was reduced to a misdemeanor. And then subsequently to that, in February of 2016, that criminal conviction was dismissed pursuant to Penal Code Section 1203.4. And it is true that when Mr. Stoliar appeared before the board in 2022, he appeared on his own behalf and spoke before the board asking for reinstatement at that time. And he was given guidance as to why the board felt that his request was premature. It is his intent today to let the board know and understand that he not only heard, but took action on that particular guidance. After Mr. Stoliar's testimony, we will also provide a brief statement from Mr. Jerry Murmis. He is the author of the first report that is part of the petition, as well as the supplemental report, so that this board can have reassurance that the support system that has Mr. Stoliar has indicated he's put into place is in fact in place, and the insights and understandings that Mr. Stoliar has gained about his own conduct.
Ms. McAllister, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're bordering on argument and providing testimony. So keep in mind, this is just the opening statement of what you expect the evidence to show. So you're characterizing the evidence is my concern.
Then I will just give the floor to Mr. Stoliar and indicate that he would like to himself articulate all of those insights. And he wishes to begin by addressing you first with a written statement and then specifics regarding his insights.
Mr. Stoliar, if you'd raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you will provide in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You may put your hand down. If I could have you start by stating and spelling your full name for the record, please.
Mark, M-A-R-K, Anthony, and Stolyar, S-T-O-L-Y-A-R.
All right, Ms. McAllister, whenever you're ready.
Your Honor, I don't expect to produce my witness through direct examination. He wishes to just address the board himself.
Ms. Heim, any objection to that?
No.
Okay. Excuse me, Dr. Paris, does the board have any objection to proceeding in that matter?
No.
Okay. Mr. Stoliar, whenever you're ready. One thing that I ask that you keep in mind, I understand you have a statement prepared that you're going to read. When we read, we often speak faster than we normally do in regular conversation. But please keep in mind, we do have a court reporter here taking down all your testimony. Also, the board members and I are as well as Ms. Heim, are very interested in hearing your testimony. So if you try to keep the pace of your testimony on the slower side, that would be much appreciated. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. To the Honorable Board of Chiropractors, I have written this statement to appeal for restoration of my chiropractic license. I understand the seriousness of all the legal charges against me from the past, which include the conviction for unlawful rebates for patients, Business and Professional Code 650. I am deeply ashamed for being involved in those unlawful and unethical activities in the past. I paid a heavy price for those bad decisions that I made when I was not psychologically and emotionally mature enough to make better decisions. I deeply regret being involved in those criminal practices while managing the clinic under the direction of what I believed at the time to be a more experienced and knowledgeable doctor, and I make no excuses for my past unethical decisions. As you know, the board denied my prior petition for reinstatement for my chiropractic license because I lacked insight and because the board believed that I was not ready to take on the responsibility of being licensed as a chiropractor. I took the board's decision to heart and have really made a great effort to work on myself in many ways to gain the insight needed and to develop myself as a person so that I can truly deserve the trust of the chiropractic board and deserve to be licensed as a doctor of chiropractic once again. I have taken significant steps to gain insight into the seriousness of those past bad decisions, as well as to improve and clarify my understanding of why and how I made those terrible errors in judgment so that I could never repeat such horrendous errors again. Through self-reflection, education, and my work with my counselor, I have understood that in the past, I didn't have the confidence I needed and the psychological tools I needed to stand up for what I believe in, which led me to the bad judgments that cost me dearly and took me off course in my career and my life. I now see that I always had the choice to act legally and ethically, no matter the circumstances in my life. I now know that regardless of the situation life brings, I can choose to behave in ethical ways that line up with my values. And if those choices mean one door closes, then another door can open. I now have the psychological tools necessary to make ethical decisions that line up with my value system and my goals in life. I did not have those insights in the past. At times when I would get overwhelmed by pressures, I would go numb, get nervous or anxious, which would cause me to react reflexively without really thinking, without taking the time to think clearly, to clear my mind and truly think about the situation. In those times when I did not have adaptive coping skills and just reacted to situations without taking the time to think, I would ultimately make bad decisions which I was unhappy with, and then would look down on myself for my poor actions and behaviors. It was a vicious cycle. I have learned through studying cognitive behavioral therapy and my work with my counselor, the psychological tools to calm my mind and body, to slow down and control my thought process so that I can respond in appropriate ways that line up with my values and goals instead of just reacting to stressful situations in ways I would later regret. Through mindfulness, reflection, education, and work with my counselor, I have gained valuable insights into ethical behavior, accountability, and personal growth. I now take full responsibility for my past wrongdoings, and I understand the gravity of those bad decisions. I am now committed to maintaining the highest ethical standards moving forward in my life. I am eager to contribute positively to the field of chiropractic, and my passion for the field of chiropractic is stronger now than ever before. Another major change I have made in gaining resources in terms of people who I know that I can turn to in times when I need help to address a problem which I do not know how to solve. I now know that it is vital to work with mentors such as my counselor, Jerry Murmis, my counseling supervisor who supervises my work with counseling clients, and experienced professional chiropractic practice coaches and consultants. At the time when I made those bad decisions in the past, I did not have people in my life who I could turn to for help. And now I know the value of having people around me who I can turn to for guidance and advice. I now know the importance of investing resources in education and relationships with experienced and caring individuals. I now know that I have and can find people who I can be honest with about all my faults and weaknesses and who I can connect with to help support me when I need it. I have learned to be open and ask for help when I need it and be honest about my problems and weaknesses. I have also learned to look at myself honestly with all my faults and deficiencies so that I can work to strengthen those weaknesses, which help me to evolve as a person. I want to share some specific characteristics and key points that are important to me, which I believe guided my changes as a person. And some key points are responsibility. I have learned to look at myself honestly and to take responsibility for any wrongdoings and any problems that I've caused, and not try to make excuses or hide behind any blaming anyone else, and just to look at myself. I have been guided by values. I believe it's important for me as a human being to live by my values. And my values are my compass. So that whenever I take any actions, I always look to my values to see, do those actions line up with my values, and are they taking me in the right direction in my life, professionally and personally. Another key was thinking about accountability. I believe accountability is really important, and I take accountability for all the mistakes, bad decisions. I don't even want to say mistakes, but bad decisions, errors in thinking. And so I do value accountability in my life. And education. I believe education is really important and has been a huge part of my development as a human being, personally and professionally. I've taken many workshops, live, in person, and online classes in chiropractic, which included ethics and law classes, as well as all aspects of patient care. I have also taken many classes in counseling and psychology. In fact, I have earned a master's degree in clinical counseling. And I continue to educate myself on chiropractic books. Chiropractors have written about various subjects, as well as counseling books and psychology books. And I've educated myself to be a Pilates instructor. I went through a one-year program and educated myself to be a Pilates instructor. And I feel like my education in Pilates and in counseling are a lot of the skills are transferable to my to chiropractic if I'm given my license, so that I can improve as a professional and serve the public as a chiropractor. And I believe education is something that's ongoing; it never stops. So I think it's important to be a lifelong student. And another key characteristic for me is resources. I believe it's important to acquire resources in terms of people I know who I can turn to, and resources in terms of coping skills that I have now, which I didn't have before. And it's important to have mentors. I have mentors. My mentor is Jerry Murmis, my counselor, who I know I can turn to if I have any concerns, who I can talk to. I have my clinical counseling supervisor, Jillian Scott, who I can turn to. I have a professional chiropractic practice coach, Dr. Lee Wood. I know that if I need assistance with my chiropractic, brushing up on my chiropractic skills, any type of practice skills, I can always turn to a professional chiropractic coach. And I also have my clinical director at the place where I volunteer, Cheryl Beck Benjamin. She's a therapist as well, and she's the director of OPICA, where I do my volunteer work as a psychotherapist. And therapy has been very important to me. My work with Jerry Murmis has been valuable in helping me to clarify my values and to just clarify, to learn coping skills and to develop as a human being. I believe insight is very important, and it was vital to me to gain insight into where I went wrong, why I went wrong, and how I ended up getting to the legal problems that I got into. And I've done a lot of self-reflection, and I've utilized mindfulness as a tool to help me to understand who I am and what's important to me in life, and my values, and how I want to live my life going forward. I studied mindful exercise, meditation, and this is an ongoing, lifelong journey for me in mindfulness, and something that I also, as a therapist, utilize with clients to help them. And another key to focus on is commitment. I'm committed to helping people in society, whether it's through counseling or whether it's through my Pilates work. And if I'm granted my license, then I'm committed to being the best chiropractor that I can be. And pretty much just wanted to humbly request opportunity to demonstrate to the board of chiropractors my renewed dedication to the chiropractic field. Consider my appeal for license reinstatement. I acknowledge my bad decisions in the past and make no excuses. Going forward, I'm committed to contributing positively to the chiropractic profession. Thank you.
All right. Any other testimony you wanted to provide on direct, Mr. Stoliar, at this time?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Himes, cross-examination.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Stolier, you were talking in your statement right now about your values. Can you speak more specifically about what you consider your values to be?
My values are to help people, to serve, to be a useful person in society, and to be honest with myself and with others, and be an open communicator, and to serve, to help people when they're in pain.
Thank you. And would they also include making sure that you're current in your knowledge of the rules and regulations of the Board of Chiropractic if you are granted a license, a reinstatement?
Absolutely, it's vital to me, and as I mentioned, I got my master's degree in clinical counseling, and a large part of that is ethics and laws, and that's a huge part of what I'm learning there too. And in chiropractic and in counseling, there's a lot of similar obligations as a professional that we have to the public, and it's very important for me in so many different ways to be ethical and to abide by all the laws.
Thank you. You were also talking about taking accountability, but I'm wondering if you could be a little more specific about, in your mind, what do you consider the ways that you take accountability in your life?
Well, I just, it's kind of broad, but I don't know if this is going to answer your question, but I feel like being honest with myself and with the people around me, and being straightforward, and just being mindful of all my actions and my behaviors so that I don't harm anyone or cause any problems, and just focusing on being someone that people can turn to, myself, and being a positive force in life, in society, and professionally.
Thank you. So then narrowing it down, and I think a lot of what you just said relates, but when we narrow it down to, if you are working as a doctor of chiropractic, then what does that look like in terms of your taking accountability?
I would just have to be the best chiropractor that I can be, give the best treatment possible to patients, do everything according to the law, be ethical, and do my best to give patients the treatment that they need, that they want. And if something is not, I don't have the skills for something, or I don't have knowledge about something, or something's out of my scope, I know that I'm not going to do anything that's not in my scope. If I don't have knowledge about something, I'm going to either gain that knowledge through education or mentorship, or I'm going to be honest with that person and say, this is above my abilities, and find resources for that individual so that they can get the care that they need.
Thank you. Looking at your petition packet, you have support letters, and the one I'm looking at first is located on page 84, the one by Gabrielle Torres. She was your counseling field support supervisor, and she doesn't make any mention of knowledge of your conviction or your discipline by the board in her letter. Did she know about that?
So Gabrielle Torres, this is not a support letter. It is a kind of a work performance letter.
Okay.
And so she was just like a field. I was in a high school doing mental health, and she was my field support person. So I didn't have that type of relationship with her. But the director of the program, Counseling Partners of Los Angeles, she is the director of that nonprofit. She was aware
Okay.
I was very open with everyone, and everyone, whenever I go to work somewhere in counseling, there's always a live scan. And as soon as I have an interview, I always tell people about the situation, because the last thing I want to do is look like I'm hiding something. I do not want to hide anything. And that's something that I make sure that everybody knows about that.
Thank you. And at this time, because your criminal conviction has been expunged, I'm assuming that means everything is taken care of, no fees. Have you paid all your board fees that were the result of the discipline in this matter?
I paid the board the investigation fees the previous time when I went to the hearing, and I've paid all my fines and made restitution, I guess, if that's the correct terminology. And so for this hearing, I just had to pay the fee for the hearing. But I paid all the fines.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. In your statement, starting on page 9, you talk about your work with Mr. Murmis and how your individual counseling has helped you learn tools and strategies necessary to identify triggers in your life. Can you talk about what you feel are the triggers for you?
Well, I guess I'm kind of an anxious person sometimes, and so that's been an issue for me in the past. So it's just I've worked on through cognitive behavioral therapy and mindfulness. I've just learned how to slow things down, think about the thoughts I have in my head, and to challenge negative thoughts and to be able to restructure certain aspects of my personality, challenge negative thoughts, thoughts that are that kind of make me question myself, and so I've learned how to use my mind to basically to calm my mind, to calm my body, to so I can think logically about decisions and understand myself better. And then think about decisions. Is this going with my values? Is this decision, is this behavior taking me closer to my values and how I want to live my life? And if it's not, think about alternative ways to behave and to live my life. So I don't know if that answers your question, but mindfulness has been a big thing for me, and meditation has been a big thing. To calm my body, to calm my mind, so I can, if I'm too nervous, I can use that cognitive part of my brain rather than reacting to the situation with that more reactive kind of part of the brain that gets activated when your sympathetic nervous system gets activated. And then you can't think as clearly, you can't be as creative in your thinking. So I've learned how to use those kind of tools from cognitive behavioral therapy and mindfulness, and that's what helps me.
Thank you. If your license were to be reinstated on a probationary basis, are you prepared to comply with the terms and conditions that would be placed on your license in such a situation?
I'm ready for whatever the board decides to. Yeah, I mean, I'm ready to do whatever the board says. I have no idea what that even means, but I'm committed to the board, to have the board trust me. I'm committed to making up for these horrible decisions I made in the past. And I don't want to be that person and thought of as that person that made those kind of mistakes. So I'm committed to doing whatever I need to do to be someone the board can trust and the public can trust.
Thank you. If your license is reinstated, do you have a plan for what you would like to do?
I would like to start by working with a chiropractic advisor or professional mentor, as I mentioned, so I can one-on-one brush up on all my chiropractic skills and all my potential office skills that I would need. And then after I feel comfortable, then start to offer chiropractic care to my Pilates clients who've been asking me about that. They would like me to be their chiropractor. And so that's really it for now. I don't want any type of a busy, high volume practice of any kind. I just want a low volume practice and work on my Pilates clients and just go from there, see where it evolves.
Thank you. I have no further questions at this time. Thank you for your candor.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Stolier, is there anything else you wanted to provide by way of redirect testimony?
I don't know what you mean by that.
I'm sorry, is there any further testimony you wanted to provide on your behalf?
I don't know.
Anything else you want to say?
Not really. I mean, I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has.
All right. So next I'll check with the board to see if there are any questions. Dr. Paris?
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Stolier. I just have one quick question, just an estimate on the last time you actively treated a patient as a licensed chiropractor.
It was before my license, before I surrendered my license in 2013.
So approximately 11 years ago.
That's the last time that's the last time I adjusted anybody.
Yeah. Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Great. Dr. Lawrence, any questions? Or excuse me, Dr. Adams, any questions?
Yes. Let me first state that I remember the last time that you came before the board, and I want to commend you for your rehabilitative efforts and your taking seriously the suggestions from the board, and the things that you've done since that time to take seriously the circumstances under which you lost your license and the seriousness in which we as a board take to make sure that we're protecting the public and making sure that you're really ready to undertake this step in your life. Having said that, just reviewing your packet, by the way, the packet very, very well done and complete, very helpful for us in reviewing. You state that you started counseling with Mr. Murmis on September 6th of 2023. Is that accurate?
That sounds accurate.
And that you also state in your packet that you completed your master's on September 7th, 2023. I'm curious about the dates and you started a master's program in 2020 and started counseling the day before you received your certificate, or before when you completed the master's. Help me understand the timing on that.
Well, I started the counseling program before around when COVID was going on and there all the closures, and so fitness was closed, and so I couldn't operate at the time my Pilates studio, and so I wanted to continue my education, and I knew I need to work on myself. And one of my clients recommended, she thought I would be a good counselor. So she actually encouraged me. She's one of the people that wrote a support letter for me. She's a Psych D, doctor of psychology. And so I got into the program, for a master's in psychology, and I started the program. And so I was going through school and working at the same time. And obviously, all the work I was doing in school was helping me slowly in terms of understanding myself better. But I needed extra help, and so the work with Jerry has nothing really. I mean, it has nothing to do with the graduation date. The date you speak of is the date I graduated. That's when I completed all my classes. I did practicum. I did internship hours under supervision, and I earned my clinical counseling master's degree. I think it was September 7th. It's a separate, sort of a separate thing for me. That's me trying to be a professional and trying to help people in some way, which is like my goal is to be a professional and somehow serve the public. And so my work with Jerry is just for me. It's just to help me with my issues. And obviously that helps also with me as a professional. It's going to help me as a person personally. It's going to help me as a professional as well. So I don't know if that answers your question. They're two separate things.
You started the course in 2020. Did you take any therapy? And you lost your license in, I believe, 2013. Did you take any therapy or have any therapy during that time before September of 2023?
I use a lot of self-help books. We call it bibliotherapy. And so I did try to do a lot of work on myself through reading. And I didn't really at the time, I didn't feel like I had the financial ability to engage in regular counseling at that time.
I believe when we met you the first, a couple years ago, you had done some therapy, but not anything real consistent. Was that the case? But with Mr. Murmis, am I pronouncing that right?
So I had
some more consistent since September of last year.
I had some sessions before, but never anything consistent. And so with Jerry, this is the first time that I had consistent therapy and went deep into therapy, where he really challenged me and made me really think about myself and gain insights about myself.
As previously asked by the deputy district attorney, you talked about your values guide you and direct you. Can you be a little more specific on what specific values are you referring to that you can cite, aside from that you want to help people?
Okay. To be honest, to be open, to be a good communicator, to earn people's trust and respect, and to deserve it. To not pretend I'm someone else that I'm not. Those are some of my key values in my life, how I live my life now. To be kind. To have compassion for people.
Thank you. I just want to remind you that you're under oath. Is it your statement that you have not adjusted any individuals since 2013?
Absolutely.
Thank you. No further questions from me. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Cruz, any questions?
Oh, yes. You mentioned your counselor, your mentor a number of times, as well as some chiropractic practice coaching. At this moment is there routine check-ins with both?
In terms of chiropractic practice coaches, I've listened to the podcasts that this coach has, and I've talked to him personally, but I did not hire him because I'm not doing chiropractic, and I'm not at that point where I don't even know if I'm going to be doing chiropractic, depending on how the board decides. It's something that if I get my license, then I'm definitely going to be hiring him. I've talked to him. He said, I'm willing to work with you one-on-one, help you with your adjustment skills, diagnostic skills, office skills. I've indicated to him how I would like to practice, low volume, and so that's something for the future. If I decide, if the board decides to give me my license, I'm definitely going to be working one-on-one with the practice, with the coach, advisors, and additionally looking for more chiropractic mentorship as well.
Okay. And so you asked the next one. And do you, you may have already answered this, but have you continued to work with your counselor? Like, I imagine, is it still an ongoing routine check-in?
Yes, it is ongoing, and I plan to always be work with my counselor. It's useful to me, and he's a good mentor to me.
If you mentioned that you don't plan on expanding, like if granted back your license, you mentioned that you don't plan to expand your practice beyond, I would almost call it supplemental to what you already currently provide. What safeguards do you have in place? How do I say this? What safeguards do you have in place currently or plan to have in place when it comes to, what's it called, any future issues? You mentioned the coaches, you've mentioned finding colleagues. Is there any other kind of areas of assistance that you plan on seeking?
If I need, I just believe in investing resources in working with experts. So if in the future, I decide, right now I don't want to be a chiropractor who takes insurance, but if I have to, then I would get a professional biller. I would get a professional billing person. I would read reviews. I would do my homework and make sure that I work with somebody professional. And so all aspects of business, I feel like there's experts in the field, and I just need to do my homework and work with those individuals who are experts in those particular areas of business. So if I needed more support, I can potentially reach out to the board to ask questions. I don't know if they have that service, but I would do my homework to make sure that I know what I'm doing, that everything I'm doing is correct.
All right, thank you. No further questions.
All right, Dr. Daniels, any questions?
Yeah, just briefly. Hi, I remember, like Dr. Adams, you're coming before us, a few years ago. And I think I recall at the time, my concern then was a lack of understanding of boundaries between kind of patients and billing and insurance, and being able to speak up with, making those clear boundaries. And I get the impression that you are much more confident in that area. But I would like you to, if you can share anything with your understanding of kind of, with all the work that you've done, how you feel about those situations of being with a patient perhaps and feeling pressure and wanting to please them, but it's not quite right. And if you could address that, that'd be great.
Yes. At this point, I just, with all my experience in business, in the Pilates business, and now in counseling, I just feel like I'm just upfront with people, and I just go by the book. So, for example, I have counseling clients, and everything is just. First of all, I haven't run into any situations where I was made to feel uncomfortable, but I just take good notes, save my fees up front, document everything. Talk to my supervisor in clinical counseling if I have any questions of how things are done. And I have no problem talking straight with people about my fees, about what I can do, what I can't do. I just I don't feel like I would be in that situation where if someone asks me to do something that I feel isn't right, I don't feel I would be. I'm a different person in that sense where I would just be like, well, this is the way it is. This is what I can do. This is what I can't do, and these are the options. And I have no problem if someone doesn't want to work with me. That's one thing that I truly love about my Pilates business is I do things what I feel like is an appropriate ethical way. I give my clients a service. I go above and beyond, and they're happy to pay for my service out of pocket, and I'm happy to give them that service. And that's the way I want to live my life.
Great. Thank you. No more questions.
Great. Dr. Sandino, any questions?
Yes, a quick one. And I wanted to commend you on all the work that you've done on your self-help and everything. It sounds amazing. And you were able to get a master's. That's great. You mentioned volunteer work. Are you a licensed clinical counselor by chance?
So I'm not licensed yet. I graduated in September 7th, as we mentioned before. And then I applied to the California Behavioral Board for an associate number. And so I received that associate number from the Behavioral Board so I can practice counseling under a supervisor, a licensed supervisor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, Mr. Sweet, any questions?
I don't have anything further. Thank you.
All right. Just one more chance to see if any other members of the board have thought of any additional questions.
Your Honor, one follow-up question.
Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Stoiler, did you disclose to the board that you applied for? Do they know of your discipline with the chiropractic board?
That's a great question. Absolutely. In fact, I had to do special paperwork. First of all, they did a live scan. Secondly, I try to give more information sometimes than people want, because I do not want anything, any type of situation where I look like I'm hiding something. So not only did they had a special section where you mark if you've had any issues in the past, and actually it said in the past 7 years, but I still marked it that I had it. And I still did all the prerequisite special paperwork. I sent them all the court documents, the 11 pages talking about the whole charges, everything. I sent everything to them. I gave them letters of explanation. I explained everything. So I'm upfront with everyone. All the organizations that I volunteered for and worked for, I tell them all upfront everything. And that's something that's actually been very therapeutic for me. to be able to just tell them. And then they're either going to accept me or they're not. And I don't feel like I'm hiding. And that's something that's very freeing for me and very therapeutic for me, because I felt ashamed before, and I felt like I was hiding, and it was a horrible feeling. So for me, it feels good to be open and share and present my weaknesses and present my faults and accept the fact that I'm not a perfect human being, that I made a mistake. And whoever wants to accept that and accept me, then it makes me feel good. And if someone doesn't want to, that's their decision.
Well done. Thank you for your candor. Appreciate your response. Nothing further from me, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions from any other members of the board? All right, hearing none, I'll take closing arguments. Ms. Heim, do you wish to give a closing argument?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Ms. McAllister?
Your Honor, as I indicated, we do have a second witness.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry, I forgot. So if you'd like to call your witness.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. It's Mr. Jerry Murmas.
Hello, I'm just unmuted.
All right.
And started my video.
All right, Mr. Murmas, can you still hear me okay? Oh, there you are.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
If I could have you raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you will provide in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, you may put your hand down. If you would start by stating and spelling your full name for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Jerry, Jerry, David Murmas, Mermis.
Thank you. Ms. McAllister?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Murmas, or morning, I guess. Have you written a number of reports with respect to this proceeding of and concerning Mark Stoliar?
Yes, I have.
How many?
2.
And can you give a brief description of your licensure and your educational background? Just briefly, as it's in there, both your professional qualifications are identified in your report.
Yes, I have a master's degree in psychology with an emphasis in marriage family counseling, which I received in 1999. My work experience has been with county mental health for 10 years, with a nonprofit that worked with county juvenile probation in another county for several years, and then my private practice. And my private practice, since I retired from county mental health and as a mental health clinician, in which I did a lot of evaluation, court-ordered reports under the supervision of a psychiatrist and a PsyD. And now in private practice, I retired from county mental health about 7 years ago, and my practice has evolved into working almost exclusively with professionals, medical professionals, law enforcement professionals, first responders, doctors, regarding specifically operational stress, overwhelm, burnout, how to avoid maladaptive behavior, how to recover from maladaptive decisions, self-care, maintenance, those kinds of things.
And when was the first time you saw Mr. Mark Stoliar as a?
My first session with him was on September 6th, 2023.
And subsequently, how many sessions have you and he worked together?
We've had 20 sessions.
And your current working relationship, is there any intention by either you or he to terminate that relationship?
No.
Prior to this proceeding, when was the last time that you met with Mr. Stoliar?
Our last session was May 19th.
Of this year?
Yes.
And with respect to your work with Mr. Stoliar, did you have the opportunity to review any documents relating to his criminal case and or the accusation and the surrender of his license?
This is the
Yes,
moderator. If we could stop for one moment, we've lost audio in the hearing room. And if Ms. Cruz could let me know, are we back on audio or no? It looks like we are not back with audio in the room.
We are back.
Fantastic.
Just
Thank
now.
you. Thank you.
Hang on one second. So if the members in the El Dorado room could let me know what the last thing you heard was.
Was the date? I believe it was the date.
after their first session.
The date,
November
May
6, 2023.
Yep.
Okay. So, Madam Court Reporter, if I could have you read the record
Yes,
after
I
that.
gotcha. Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I'm trying to find where she means. Hang on.
Oh, actually, mention of 20 sessions. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's see, of this year. Wait, where's 20 sessions?
How many sessions worked together? We had 20 sessions. And then current working relationship. That was what cut off.
When was the last time that you met with Mr. Stoliar? The last session was May 19th of this year. Answer yes. Is that what you mean?
That sounds like it.
Okay.
That session was May 19th.
Yeah.
Of this year.
Yeah, yes. That's where I said, okay. I think you want to go before that. We've had 20 sessions or so, and you're currently working relationship. Is there any intention by either of you or he to terminate that relationship? Answer no. I think that was it.
Okay. All right, thank you. So if we could pick back up with the record, and Ms. McAllister, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think you were mid-question.
Yes, Mr. Murmas, have you had the opportunity to review any documentation of and concerning Mr. Stoliar's criminal history, the accusation, and the surrender of his professional license?
Yes, I reviewed everything. The Board of Chiropractic Examiners, the case summary, the Department of Industrial Relations order of suspension, letters of investigation, mitigating work done, stipulated surrender of license, etc. Yeah.
And through your therapeutic process with Mr. Stoliar, why was it important for you to have an understanding of what the actual allegations were?
Well, that would be an important part of history taking and an important part of presenting problems and symptoms and behavior evaluation.
During the course of those 20 sessions, can you tell me briefly what type of modalities were applied?
Yeah, I use a combination of psychoeducation, mindfulness, cognitive restructuring, positive reinforcement, and a holistic approach, mixing those together.
And can you generally describe Mr. Stoliar's progress through this therapy with you?
Yes, in two or three different ways. We worked on initially all that history taking and reviewing of the past. And then as part of that history also, we looked at the evolution of his character, his ethics and morals and personal growth, and the affirmation of how he has grown through the things he's done, such as studying Pilates, getting his Pilates certification, getting his degree in counseling psychology, and how he's, we worked on gaining ethical, behavioral accountability and personal growth. And then also we worked on his how that understanding has developed over time, and then focused in on those 20 sessions on really continuing to develop that and hone in on that and articulate that. And then ongoing tools that he would use in the future to mitigate
Directing your attention to the word accountability. Did you have any direct communication with Mr. Stoliar about the choices that he had made that led to the criminal conduct and the surrender of his license?
Absolutely, yes. Part of what I do with all my clients is walk them through the process of operational stress in our life and our own personalities and our upbringing and all of that, how that impacts us, and then how that operational stress at a certain point can turn into overwhelm and into burnout, and how that we need to be very cognizant of the red flags leading up to those things, symptomatic things such as depression or anxiety, sleep, problems, nutrition problems, lack of exercise, lack of accountability and mentorship. And if we don't successfully do that, then the stress turns into overwhelm, which then turns into burnout, which then turns into some sort of maladaptive acting out behavior, bad decisions, unethical decisions, because we're not doing that, practicing that self-care and that accountability.
Were you able to assist Mr. Stoliar in identifying his personal triggers?
Yes, we worked on that. We talked about the issues of, in the past, of low self-esteem, of difficulty with boundaries, of difficulty with accountability, of the desire to please others, sometimes overwhelming our own value system and things like that.
Were you able to hear the testimony that Mr. Stoliar gave here today?
Yes, I did.
And in his testimony, did that accurately reflect the work that you and he had done together over those 20 sessions, develop his sense of values and accountability?
Yes, yes, absolutely. I was myself very impressed and pleased with the way he presented himself and the way he was able to articulate those types of things that we're talking about.
And with respect to your desire to have an ongoing relationship with Mr. Stoliar in a therapeutic atmosphere, as well as he with you, what is the purpose of that?
Well, the purpose is to continue that process, make sure we're doing that process on an ongoing basis in our own lives and in our own professional practices and in our personal lives as well, that watching out for red flags of overwhelm and stress and burnout, that revisiting our values, that practicing on a daily basis some sort of meditative practice or some sort of spiritual practice, that our psychological practice that keeps us focused on, sometimes I say, I use a colloquialism, it's hard to remember you were sent to drain the swamp when you're up to your neck in alligators. And we have to be careful that, that's what life does. It presents us with all these alligators that are attacking our morals, our values, our ethics, all these difficulties and problems. And we have to be sure that we have all the tools in place and are practicing the things we need to practice on a daily basis to deal with that.
And based on his work with you and his willingness, Mr. Stoliar's willingness to participate in ongoing therapy, do you believe at this point in his life he has the capacity to take on the responsibility of becoming a licensed chiropractor?
I do. I think he already is doing kind of multidisciplinary work. You know, he's doing the Pilates and he's doing the psychological counseling. And I think that they all complement each other. And I think that being fully restored as a chiropractor would be a wonderful complement to that.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions at this time.
Ms. Heim, anything on cross?
I do not. Thank you so much for your testimony today.
All right. Checking to see if the board has any questions for the witness. Dr. Paris?
No questions.
Dr. Adams?
My examination's complete. No questions.
Ms. Cruz?
No questions.
Dr. Daniels?
No questions.
Dr. Sandino?
No questions.
And Mr. Sweet?
I don't have anything. Thank you.
All right, just checking one last time to see if anyone on the board has any questions for the witness. Hearing none. Mr. Murmas, thank you for your time and testimony. It is much appreciated. You're excused as a witness. Ms. McAllister, anything further?
Not in terms of evidence, Your Honor.
Okay, and Ms. Heim, I know I asked you before if you had a closing and you waived, but we took another witness because I forgot about the witness, so I'll just ask you again. Any closing argument?
No, I do not have a closing argument. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McAllister, closing argument?
Just briefly, Your Honor. On behalf of my client, based on his hard work and his evolution both as an individual, his willingness to look inside of himself to gain insight into his previous conduct, his willingness to stay educated, his desire for ongoing education, and his passion for his general public, we respectfully request that this board grant his request for his reinstatement of his chiropractic license. He is, as he's articulated, absolutely willing to move forward with any terms and conditions as the board may deem fit, because his ultimate goal is to serve the public in the best way possible. And that's a decision that the board can make if they are to choose to impose conditions of probation. He will absolutely accept. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So the record's closed, the matter's submitted, and we are off the record.
Thank you.
And Madam Court Reporter, when you're ready, if I could get a page estimate, please.
Yes, Your Honor. End time 12:43, page estimate 60.
Thank you. Are there any spellings you need?
Nope, that'd be good.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Paris, shall I turn it over to you? Do you wish to take a break at this time?
Well, yeah, thank you, Judge Wong. Let me ask the board if at some point, either now or after the next petitioner, we will take a 30-minute lunch break. Is there a preference by the board?
Food chair. Food arrival.
I'm sorry, I heard something back there. I wasn't clear though.
One more.
Is everybody okay doing the next petitioner right now, and we'll take 30-minute lunch after that?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because we don't have traffic. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes, we can move on to one more.
Any objections?
If I could just check with the reporter to see if she needs a short break. Okay, no, very good.
Fine, Your Honor.
Okay.
And I'm at the whatever the board wishes to do, I'm more than happy to do.
Okay, let's take the next petitioner, and we'll take a break after that one.
Okay. So the The next matter will be the petition for reinstatement of Nayang Eo, and I apologize if I mispronounced the name.
That is correct. Nayang.
Eo is correct?
Oh.
Oh?
Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so Madam Court Reporter, whenever you're ready, if you'd just let me know.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so let's go ahead and go on the record. We are on the record before the Board of Chiropractic Examiners, Department of Consumer Affairs, State of California, in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of, one second, hang on one second, Nayang ER. It is agency case number AC 2018-1202, OAH number 2024-040922. My name is Corin Wong. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings, and I've been assigned to preside over this matter with the board. In order to establish a quorum for the record, I'll ask that each board member please respond audibly after his or her name is called. Dr. Paris?
Present.
Dr. Adams?
Present.
Ms. Cruz?
Present. Oh, present.
Okay. Dr. Daniels?
Present.
Dr. Sandino?
Present.
Mr. Sweet?
Present.
Let the record reflect that a quorum of the board is present. Next, if I may take the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. This is Deputy Attorney General Patricia Heim appearing on behalf of the Attorney General's Office pursuant to Government Code Section 11522, representing the people of the state of California. I am here to assist in fact-finding, and my role is not adversarial, but is intended to protect the public interest. Thank you.
All right, thank you, and good afternoon, Ms. Heim. And Ms. Al, are you representing yourself today at the hearing?
Yes.
Okay, and are you aware that you could have, you have the right to be represented by counsel at your own expense?
Yes.
And is it your desire to proceed today without counsel?
Yes.
Okay. And did you hear earlier when Judge Larson described the procedural process for the hearing?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm happy to explain it. The most important thing is that you understand what's going on. So I'm more than happy to explain it. You've filed a petition for reinstatement. Today is the hearing on your petition. Shortly, Ms. Heim will present the petition packet and provide a summary of your license history and the prior discipline. And then it will be your opportunity to present your evidence, and you'll be able to testify. After you testify, Ms. Heim will have an opportunity to ask questions. And then after her questions, if you have any further testimony to provide, you can do that. Also, the board members may have questions for you. And then do you have any witnesses that you wanted to call other than yourself?
No.
Okay, so it will just be you. And then did you have any documents you wanted to introduce other than what Ms. Heim will produce?
No, I do not.
Okay, and so after you testify, then I'll take closing arguments from each side, and then the matter will be submitted. You will not receive a decision today, but the board will deliberate later in closed session, and then they'll issue a written decision that you will receive in the future. And again, Ms. Heim will, in her summary, will talk about the prior discipline to provide context. But if you would keep in mind that the most important aspect that the board is interested in hearing about is any rehabilitation you have undergone since your license was surrendered. Also, the board has had the benefit of receiving and reading the petition packet, so you don't need to repeat anything in there. But if there are parts of the packet that you would like to highlight or emphasize, you're more than welcome to do so. Do you have any questions about the process?
No, I'm good.
Okay, and if you have any questions later on at any time, just let me know and I'll be happy to answer any questions if I can, okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Heim, your petition packet or summary statement, whichever you'd like to do first.
Thank you. I would first like to mark for identification and offer into evidence as Exhibit 1, the petition packet with the accompanying documents. This has been provided to everyone who is present today, and it generally consists of the petition for reinstatement of surrendered license signed under penalty of perjury on February 21st, 2024. The petitioner's typewritten answers to questions 1 through 7 from the petition. Petitioner's plea agreement in the criminal matter entitled U.S. v. Young O, which is United States District Court, Eastern District of California, case number 1:15-CR-00179. In this case, petitioner pleaded guilty to a single count of superseding information, healthcare fraud, in violation of Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 1347. She also submitted approximately 14 certificates of completion for continuing education, which included 12 hours in ethics. Letter notification to petitioner regarding the fact that her criminal probation terminated effective September 3rd, 2019. The Board of Chiropractic Examiners decision and order adopting petitioner's stipulated surrender of license effective February 11th, 2021. The Board of Chiropractic Examiners decision and order adopting petitioner's stipulated settlement and disciplinary order placing her license on 5 years probation with terms and conditions effective June 16, 2019, and the accusation in case number AC 2018-1202, filed November 7th, 2018. There's also a letter to petitioner giving her notice of hearing and the proof of service dated April 23rd, 2024. And at this time, I would offer this packet into evidence as Exhibit 1.
Right, those documents will be marked collectively as Exhibit 1. Ms. Eal, do you have any objection to Exhibit 1 being admitted for all purposes?
No.
Okay, 1 is so admitted. All right, Ms. Hines?
Thank you. And now I will provide a brief background of petitioner's disciplinary history and her license. On March 17, 2003, the board issued chiropractic license number DC 28688 to petitioner. Her chiropractic license was revoked pursuant to a stipulated surrender of license effective February 11, 2021. On November 7, 2018, the board filed accusation number AC 2018-1202 against petitioner, and the accusation alleged 7 causes of disciplinary action for conviction of a substantially related crime, insurance fraud, conviction of a crime involving moral turpitude, dishonesty, or corruption, unprofessional conduct in that petitioner committed acts involving moral turpitude and dishonesty, unprofessional conduct in that petitioner knowingly made a false statement of fact, violating the provisions of the Chiropractic Act, and unprofessional conduct for participation in acts of fraud and/or misrepresentation. This accusation arose from petitioner's September 4, 2008 conviction of one felony count of violating Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 1347 for healthcare fraud. Based on her guilty plea, the circumstances surrounding this conviction are that she submitted claims to private insurance companies and the State Compensations Insurance Fund for services rendered by her between February 2012 and January 2014 for writing medical legal reports and fraudulently billing using the billing codes ML 102 and 103. Petitioners writing a medical legal report and billing for it were not authorized by California law. On June 16, 2019, the board adopted petitioner's stipulated settlement and disciplinary order in case number AC 2018-1202, where her license was placed on probation for 5 years with specific terms and conditions, including reimbursing the board $2,847.50 for the costs of investigation and enforcement, taking and passing the California Chiropractic Law Examination, an Ethics and Boundaries Essay Examination, and independent billing monitoring. On February 11, 2021, the board adopted petitioner's stipulated surrender of license and issued a decision and order revoking petitioner's chiropractic license. In the stipulated surrender on page 4, paragraph 6, petitioner agreed that if she should ever petition for reinstatement of a license, all of the charges and allegations in the accusation shall be deemed true, correct, and admitted by the petitioner. Pursuant to California Code of Regulations, Title 16, Section 365, petitioner has provided evidence of sufficient continuing education to fulfill the continuing education requirements for each year that her license was surrendered through the date of this petition for reinstatement of her license. Petitioner is now petitioning for reinstatement of her license, and because the burden is on Ms. Yo, I have no further statement, but reserve the right to question her after her statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gill, now's your opportunity to testify. So if I could swear you in first and have you raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you will provide in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you may put your hand down. If I could have you start by stating and spelling your full name for the record, please.
Nayoung Nayoung
All right, thank you. So Ms. Il, now's your chance to provide your testimony. The one thing I'd ask you to remember is to make sure you speak clearly and slowly so we could all hear you and the court reporter could get all your testimony. Also, you're a little soft-spoken, so if you would make sure you stay close enough to the microphone and keep the volume of your voice up, that would be much appreciated as well. So with that in mind, and also a reminder that the board is most interested in any reinstatement you have undergone since surrendering your license. And with those matters in mind, whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Yes. First, thank you for giving me an opportunity to come before the board and judge, and giving me an opportunity to petition to reinstate my surrender license. Effective June 16, 2019, my license was on probation by the board with terms and conditions through decisions and orders in case number AC 2018-1202. As terms and condition of probation, I completed the interview with the board and took and passed the California Chiropractic Law Examination. However, I wasn't able to continue to comply the order. I needed to attend the continuing education seminars in order to continue practice. However, due to a pandemic, in-person continuing seminar weren't available and were canceled. Because my license was under probation, the temporary waiver of continuing education due to the pandemic didn't apply to me. Therefore, my license stayed inactive for an undetermined amount of time. Also, around that time, my immigration status has to be renewed. One of the immigration attorney advised me about possible deportation from the country because of my criminal history. My chiropractic career was unforeseen in those circumstances. I voluntarily surrendered my license to the board effective February 11, 2021. Now I obtained the U.S. citizenship and have completed all required continuing education. I respect my profession and I'm very proud of my profession. And I'm passionate about my work as a chiropractor. So I humbly ask the board to grant my request to have another chance to serve my patient and my community as a chiropractor. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Heim, any questions on cross-examination?
Yes, thank you. Ms. O, you talk in your statement about before your license was disciplined, before it was on probation, you had a focus on women and children's care and serving underserved patients. Have you done any other work on that focus during this time where your license has been surrendered?
Oh, no. No, this is before my license was surrendered. After I surrendered my license, there was no practice of chiropractic.
What have you been doing after you received your citizenship?
Yes, as I mentioned on my application, I stayed home as a parent, and I volunteered at the school, and also I involved in the church that I'm attending.
Thank you. So other than the continuing education that you completed, have you done any type of, I'm not looking, I know you're not working as a chiropractor, but I'm looking to see if you've done anything where you're getting recent knowledge about the field. Have you talked to any chiropractors? Have you looked at the possibility of future potential employment? Those types of things.
If I get my license back, my plan is to have my own clinic. But I had a chance to talk to the chiropractors that the seminars that I've been attending, and some local chiropractor, Dr. Michael Sladish. However, I didn't involve in chiropractic practice or other chiropractic areas.
Okay, thank you. So when we're looking back at the original discipline, you have completely satisfied everything related to your conviction? I think you have. I just want confirmation from you.
All the reports was assigned under my license, and the defendant, the clinic, the one that I work, they were doing all the administration work and the billings. So I took my responsibility as a chiropractor because all the reports was under my license.
Okay, so I did kind of want to check in with you about that because you kind of mentioned in your statement, I'm looking specifically at page 3, you were talking about how you were uncomfortable with some of the practices of the office that you were working for, but did you ever feel like it was something you should have talked to someone about, maybe the board or someone that you could at least mention to them that wasn't something that you should be doing under your license?
toward the end of the employment there, I was also working at the Federal Qualification Health Center. But then while I was working there, I moved up to Bakersfield because of that work. And this clinic was, the owner of the clinic had multiple clinics in the Southern California. And the Bakersfield office was almost a newly opened clinic. So I was working busy, and I was working overtime for I can say 1 or 2 years without thinking anything but just work. However, I see how this the chiropractor, the owner of the chiropractor, is treating the other chiropractors. And among the employee chiropractors, we said that they're manipulating chiropractors. However, I didn't see that she was doing any kind of, I didn't thought that she was doing any kind of a criminal activity, because she was a chiropractor too. And my biggest mistake is that I relied on her too much, that she wouldn't ever tell the same chiropractor to do criminal activity, which will jeopardize their chiropractor license. And my biggest mistake is that I didn't follow up my work all the way through up to their billing process and their administration work. However, if I have a chance to defend myself, they scheduled a patient and my job was to seeing a patient. And all the administration work and the billing was, the company was handling it. So as an employee chiropractor, it wasn't very easy to follow up on each thing. So during the pre-trial, they found the report. They found the the report on patient that was billed under as an ML code. This defendant clinic was a work-related clinic, a work-injured clinic. At that time, I was applying to get my QME license. So I was attending an industry.
I'm sorry, I was applying to get my what license?
My QME license, Qualified Medical Evaluation License. And I held the QME license later on. So I had a little bit of a knowledge about the ML code. So I did raise a voice to the owner. However, as I mentioned on my statement, and this statement that I gave it to the board is the same as I gave it to the judge, that the owner of the clinic was so sure that it is the right code that all the chiropractor can bill. It is not that. I'm trying to use the right phrase what I wrote. So I did raise an issue to the owner, but I was told that this was the proper way to bill, and it should have been billed this way even before. So in that time, I was in the period that getting a more knowledge and learning about the ML code. So I did reach out to the industrial evaluator seminar director, and I left a message, and I waited for his call, but the owner didn't want to wait. She want to move on with the building. And other chiropractors, it's not only me who used those building code. There were about 6, 7 other chiropractors working all throughout the Southern California. So they were using the same building code as what I've been told to from the owner. So however, I realized then throughout the pre-trial investigation, those time I realized that it's under my license, and when the result comes out, it's under my report with my name, and it's my responsibility. So yes, so I took the responsibility.
So when you, okay, do you take responsibility for the actions that led to the revocation of your license?
I didn't know my license gonna be in a jeopardize if I plead guilty, if I took the plea agreement. Can be sound that I'm defending or I'm making an excuse, but that time, that was a 2015, and I had 2 little kids, and I had a designated attorney from the district, and also their advice.
I'm sorry, you had a what attorney?
I had a designated attorney, federal attorney.
Designated, okay, thank you, yes.
And they advised me that taking a plea agreement is the best way for me, because they found a lot of fraud from the owner, which I don't involved, I don't related. Because initially they accused me and I got indicted for the conspiracy with the owner and a scheme, but that one got dismissed. And I strongly said that's a false accusation, and that is the false accusation.
Thank you. If your license was reinstated, what is your plan?
I have a purpose and I have a plan. Yes. I've been, as I said, almost toward the end of the employment at the defendant clinic. I was also working at the Federal Qualified Health Center at the same time. And I was also pursuing to work, to study more as I was pursuing to study chiropractic, specialize in women's and children's care, which I've been wanting to study. So I am going to get my Webster certificate, which is the certificate to have a adjustment or the treatment to the pregnant woman. And in the place I live, there's a pregnancy center that helps the single mom. So if I get my license and with the Webster certificate and with my knowledge and all the knowledge that what I've trained for, I would like to be a part of them to work as a chiropractor. And also, but my practice will not be limited to that. I will be having a chiropractic clinic in my office as a wellness care and to the seniors. I think mostly the seniors and the women. And my ultimate goal is this is the plan that I had for a long time, that I will be going on a mission trip as a chiropractor.
Thank you. I have nothing further at this time.
Ms. Eot, is there anything else you would like to testify to on your behalf?
I think I'm okay. I think I said what I had to say, but
Okay.
I'll be more than happy to answer any questions I receive.
Okay, and so I'll check with the board to see if there are any questions. Dr. Ferris?
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Dr. Adams?
And Judge Wong, Dr. Adams had a family emergency, and I do not believe he'll be joining us for the rest of the session.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes. Let me see here. You mentioned that you wanted to reopen your practice, and you just mentioned that there are specific demographic groups that you wanted to focus on women, seniors, if given the chance to regain your license, beyond just the demographic you're looking at, what are the immediate next steps? You've been out of practice for about the past, I believe, about 3 or so years since you had surrendered your license while under probation. I guess my question is more towards, do you already have something lined up under an existing facility or an existing clinic? Kind of what are the next steps to get to the place where you can have your own practice?
First of all, my practice will not be only limited to the women or the seniors. There will be my practice even before the probation or before the federal case. I was seeing all gender of patients, so it will not be limited to any other demographic. However, while I was working at the federal the qualified center, I started as a part-time. However, my patient grew so rapidly that I jumped in as a full-time. I was scheduled to be a full-time right away. And I noticed that from that past experience that many of women and seniors are seeking my care. So probably that's why I was more saying as a woman and senior. And so yes, so my practice will not be limited to any, it'll be open to all genders. I've been working in a home clinic prior to the probation. And so my office will be starting as a home, and I'm willing to do a traveling doctor too.
How do you plan to prevent any unclear administrative documentation in the future? Is there a plan in place? Do you already have resources at kind of your fingertips? What is your plan there?
Yes. As I mentioned, I will be having my own clinic, so it'll be me who will be handling the administration. And also, one of the assistant director at that federal clinic gave a letter to the judge, because that's the time I was working also at the defendant clinic. And he mentioned that due to the nature of accusation, the administration audited Dr. O's practice for any billing and case management discrepancies and found absolute no irregularity. So I've been doing the billing even on my own while I was working in other clinic, and there was there was a peer review occasionally, and there was no finding of any errors or any kind of arise questions while I was working there. So I myself have a very confident in my practice.
And no further questions. Thank you. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And in addition to that, it is not related to the chiropractic. However, I spend my time reflecting myself, and also because of that, and also spending my time on my personal devotion and my faith grow. And I'm a Christian, and I'm one of the leader in my prayer ministry. So I can say I have a confidence in myself. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Daniels, any questions?
Yes. Hi, good afternoon. I mean, as I'm watching you, I mean, the situation seems very emotional and traumatic. And I see that you've done some work with the church, and you say that you've worked on yourself, which I appreciate. I didn't see in your packet if you had done any formal counseling or therapy to help understand the situation, how you got into the situation, and how to avoid the situation. Have you had any formal therapy that wasn't included in the packet?
No, no, I do not. And even from the case from the judge, the therapy or any kind of counseling wasn't ordered, and also from the board too. And as I mentioned before, I'm a Christian, so my counseling and if I use the word healing, spiritually or the physically, that was through the faith that I have, and through my Christian friends that around me, and the support of the church members. So I see myself as no need of other public therapy.
Okay. I also was just wondering, I know that you have been taking care of, I believe it was your 2 sons, and that you've done some volunteer with the prayer ministry. Have you done any other volunteerism outside of that, and say, working with elderly people and women, say at a women's shelter, something outside of your church?
No, I wasn't particularly volunteering at anything outside of school or the church. No.
Okay.
However,
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yes. However, the church I attend, it's one of the biggest church in the town that I live, and there are about over than 150 the ladies, mainly I have to say seniors over 55 are attending the Bible study group. So when and there, one of the lady write a letter to the judge that I provide them a ride. I provide them what they need. So there were enough volunteer work for me to do in that area and at my church.
Okay, thank you. And just one last question. So, I mean, I find the job extremely challenging. I mean, there's a lot to it. There's the psychomotor skills, there's emotional, mental, all of that, let alone the adjusting skills. So do you feel confident that at this point you are ready to jump back into practice and being able to do all of those aspects?
I've been practicing chiropractic, deducting the surrendering period, 18 years. And that's, I got my license in 2003, but I graduated in 2000. So I started to work as a chiropractic assistant while I was in school, in chiropractic school. And I only took the time off when I had a maternity leave. So I was constantly on practice, and someone asked me similar question. My friends asked me the similar questions. So I told them that chiropractic is, to me, is like riding a bike. I might get a little bit rusted, but I will get back in track. But as I mentioned, if I get my license back, I am willing to go and get my the Webster certification. That certification is more onto the technique-wise certification. So taking more techniques classes and technique seminars can help me to get my little bit rusty adjustments getting track. But yeah, but other than that, yes, I think I'm ready.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Dr. Sandino, any questions?
Yes, thanks. When was the last time then that you adjusted somebody?
That's before I surrender my license during the probation period. So I have to say that's 1920. Yes, 2009, 2020.
Okay. And then if the goes in your favor, then you foresee planning to probably, take courses again, or just do some chiropractic adjusting technique things to warm up?
Yes, of course, I believe so, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, and if I may, in addition to what Dr. Panella was asking me about the counseling, I did mention on my application, which was one of my plan for a long time. I'm planning to start the seminary from this fall, and I'm majoring in the church ministry, but initially my focusing major was the counseling, Christian counseling. So I just want to, mention in a little bit to, let you know that I was going to major in the Christian counseling to counsel others. And I do get many words from my friends and around me that for my encouraging words to them. So yes, so just want to add on to it.
All right, Mr. Sweet, any questions?
No further questions.
All right, just one last check to see if anyone else on the board has thought of any additional questions. Hearing none, Ms. Ill, thank you for your testimony.
Excuse me, Judge Wong, I see a hand up in the El Dorado room.
Go ahead.
Sorry about that. So just two quick questions. I can absolutely respect you finding resolving your faith and even actively engaging in seminary education. Quick question, have you received counseling from some of your church leaders? Because it sounds like you are the one that folks go to, but have you received that from your own church leaders?
Yes, our church consists of a before it was called Sunday School, but now it's called Life Group. It consists with a small group. And there, I've been attending that group for more than 5 years, running by the pastor. And the pastor's focus is the counseling with the marriage and also too. So I have a very good connection with those pastors and also other Bible lead directors who was the principal of the junior high school. And I'm in a very close relationship with them. So I have to say they're my mentor and they're the one who I can go and talk to them if I have any kind of help or any kind of want to lean on to. So yes, I do have my mentors with me.
And I imagine, have you been open to them about kind of your own personal situation with your chiropractic license?
Of course, they did write a letter to the judge, and of course, yes.
All right, thank you. Nothing further.
All right, anything further from any of the board members? All right, hearing none. Ms. Ill, thank you for your testimony. You are excused as a witness. Next, I will take closing arguments. Do you wish to give a closing argument, Ms. Heim?
No, thank you.
All right, Ms. Ill, your closing argument?
No, and thank you so much for hearing, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
All right, so that concludes the hearing. The record's closed, the matter's submitted, and we are off the record. Ms. Ill, as you may have heard me mention at the end of the prior hearing, the board will deliberate in closed session about your petition later on today. So you won't receive a decision today, but one will be mailed to you once it is issued. Also, if we were here in person, the court reporter would have a form for you, and that's just in case you ever wanted a copy of the transcript of today's hearing. But since we're not in person, what will happen is my office will send it to you either later today or tomorrow. And that's just for your records in case you want a copy of the transcript.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And before you disconnect, let me just check with the court reporter. Madam court reporter, do you have any spellings you need?
Yes, I think she mentioned some name by the name of Laddish, but I don't know how to spell that.
Ladies, do you think you can give me the contacts?
No, I don't know. I couldn't have written it down quick enough. You were talking. Something like that.
What was it when I was talking about the federal case?
Probably. It was a name, just a person that you went and spoke to, or he was helping you or something. I don't remember. Never mind. I'll just use the word phonetic if I can't figure it out. Okay. And so the end time is 1:30 and the pages are 25.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Eo, thank you again for your time. And that concludes the hearing. And so, Dr. Paris, I'll turn the matter back to you.
Thank you. I would just like to make a brief announcement that just to clarify, Dr. Adams will not be returning to the meeting, but his notice location remains open to the public for the remainder of the open session. And with that, I think we're due to take a 30-minute lunch break. I have 1:31. Can we return at 2:01 and start with the next case?
Okay. Yes, of course.
Great. Thanks,
Just
everyone.
for my edification, who do we have left on the list? I don't really have
we have
Homan?
Dahan.
Dahan.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
Daniel Dahan. Okay. Thank you.